What would you do if your student program suddenly lost its key staff right before onboarding season with federal requirements on the line? On today's episode, we talk to Kevin Todd, Program Director of Trio Upward Bound in St. Louis, Missouri, who faced exactly that and turned to AI for the solution. With Jotform Presentation Agents, Kevin transformed a major staffing crisis into a fully automated onboarding system, helping students and parents self-enroll without missing a step. From saving 12-plus hours of manual work to meeting every program requirement, Kevin's story shows how the right tech at the right time can keep a mission moving forward, even under pressure. Welcome to Momentum, a podcast by Jotform where we talk about the technology, productivity tips, insights, and best practices that help us move forward in business and in life. Let's get started.
3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Maintaining momentum. Thank you so much for joining the show, Kevin. It's such a pleasure to have you on. I'm really excited to hear all about Trio and Upward Bound and how you're using Jotform.
I'm very happy to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. Really, I do. It really is an honor. Honestly, I've been using Jotform for a long time, probably about 8 years or so.
Oh, wow. Okay.
About 8 years or so. And so it really is an honor that you guys somehow found me.
That was, I believe, Chris was the first one to reach out. He did that write-up, very nice write-up for the case study. And then he was like, I think you'd be good on the podcast. And the rest is history. Now you're here.
Well, I appreciate Chris.
I guess let's just start at the beginning. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what your role is at Trio Upward Bound?
I am Kevin Todd. I'm the director of the Trio Upward Bound program at the Higher Education Consortium of Metropolitan St. Louis.
Right on. For those who aren't familiar, do you want to just kind of tell us what exactly Trio Upward Bound is and what kind of support it provides for students?
Sure. Trio Upward Bound is a federally funded, 100% federally funded pre-collegiate program. So we work with in the summer, we have a summer academy where we work with rising ninth graders through rising 12th. And in the academic year, we work with that same group, now 9th through 12th, in all sorts of pre-collegiate opportunities. Mostly, we try to keep them from falling below a 2.6 GPA. We're talking about students who are low income, first generation, meaning parents don't have a 4-year degree. And so we try to keep them from falling below that 2.5 GPA by working with them with tutoring in all of the core academic areas, ELA, math, science. We even do foreign language and all of that sort of thing. So that's kind of who we are.
Wow. I remember when I was in high school, I did something very similar. It was just kind of like a nice like prep for college and potentially taking, do you actually have them take like some college courses while they're still in high school?
We do. Yes, actually we do. Yeah, we there's a couple of different things we do. So one, I also work as myself and one of our other staff members are adjuncts at our local community college here, St. Louis Community College, where we work with them on a program called Smart Start. It's one college credit, but they can do that. And we also encourage them in some cases, we even pay for students to have college coursework before they graduate. So they'll be that much more debt free, if you will. And it also doubles as a college readiness because they're getting exposed to college level coursework while they're in high school. We've had several students graduate and a couple right now on pace to graduate with both their high school diploma and a 2-year associate's.
Wow, that's kind of incredible. Like finishing your 2 year before you're even out of high school.
I mean, imagine that. Had I seen that when I was in high school,
would have
man, that's a
saved
lot
some
of
money.
debt that you don't have to have.
Yeah, for sure. And it also kind of removes that stigma of, a college being this scary thing. Like you kind of realize, oh, well, it's kind of similar to high school courses and yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's somewhat sort of a hand-holding in that beginning portion, but the kids that graduate with the 2-year degree, they're actually on the campus of the college, of the community college. However, they still get full access to their high school. They can still participate in their sports. They can participate in extracurricular activities. They still get that full 100% support of the high school, so they don't feel abandoned. But they're in class with ordinary college level kids, and it kind of helps to eliminate that stigma of two things. Honestly, one, college is scary, but also we've had this thing over the last few years where people just don't want to go to the community college, as if the education is not as valuable, or if the coursework isn't as rigorous. And what most people don't know is that at those colleges, a lot of times the professors are adjuncts working at other universities. So they're still very, very rigorous.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I'm a student from community college before I transferred into university level, and it was probably even more valuable in the community college years, especially for the more hands-on stuff. So big supporter of community colleges.
That's right. And I bet you saved a lot of money too.
I did. I saved a lot of money. Those last 2 years added up real quick. You sort of answered this one already, but can you explain the role that the Higher Education Consortium of St. Louis plays in supporting Upward Bound?
Yeah. So actually, most TRIO programs, whether it be Upward Bound, Talent Search, Educational Opportunity Centers, most of them are located on a college campus. Okay. We're one of the few in the country that are actually sponsored by a nonprofit. So Higher Education Consortium, or what we call it HEC for short, HEC, is actually our sponsor. So they're the ones who wrote the grant for our program to exist. And they sponsor my Upward Bound program, but they also sponsor a talent search that is in my office and an educational opportunity centers, which serves adults in our office. So they're our sponsors rather than us being on our university campus.
Gotcha. That's got to be a huge thing for the kids there. I guess kind of switching gears, what exactly, I know there were a few circumstances, but what led you to looking for a new solution for onboarding of students?
So I had a conversation with my coworker after that article came out that Chris did, and she was like, "I can't believe you said those things about me." So let me be careful when I use my words here.
Okay, we can cut around that.
Yeah. No, what happened was that I had two employees, and I'm just imagine that you're the coach of a basketball team, and I don't know what your favorite sport is, but two of your most potent players are down, right? What are you going to do to win? And that's kind of what happened. These two ladies are extremely valuable to our team. And with one, it was that she has a recurring illness that sometimes keeps her from being able to work consistently. It's kind of progressed over the years. But there is absolutely nobody better than her at what she does. But, she's still human. And so when things happen, they just happen. And then with the other lady, she was dealing with a family illness. So she herself wasn't ill, but she had a family member who was ill, and it kept her home. So in both cases, they were both home. So I needed one to recruit in the schools because we still had to prepare for summer. And the other, once the students were recruited, did the onboarding of both the student and the parent. And that onboarding process is rather involved. So with both of them being inaccessible, that job still had to be done because the clock was ticking. I mean, you can't tell Father Time, hold on just a second, we've got a problem here. So the clock still ticks, and that's what forced me to go into looking for a different solution on how to, recruit them and have them properly onboarded, at the same time.
Yeah. So you were down Steph Curry and Draymond Green right before the playoffs.
Yeah, Draymond and Steph, both down.
Needed to get somebody to jump in. And I guess we could jump over to what actually did jump in. That was when you discovered the AI side of Jotform.
Let me tell you, I am a very God-fearing person. And in the Christian world, you just don't use AI very much, right? Particularly when it comes to like preparing sermons and stuff like that. It's like the devil, don't do it. So I had this thing in my mind that I'm not going to ever get involved in that stuff. And then, but when your back is against the wall, you ask yourself, what are you going to do? And you guys had just launched. Actually, I had seen it, but didn't pay much attention to it because, AI is the devil. So I jump in, I say that facetiously, I jump in and I'm like, maybe this can help me. So I started watching a few of the videos that you guys have put out on it. You hadn't done the official launch yet, but there were a few videos that were, telling you how to use it. And I started YouTubing and I'm like, you know what? I think this is the solution. And I decided to delve in. I didn't have any real knowledge of how AI agents worked. I had never used ChatGPT before, ever. I just had not used it. And so I was amazed at what could be done with ChatGPT and AI agents through Jotform. Jotform was my first use of AI agents and how that whole thing works. And I was like, this is phenomenal. It was really phenomenal. It was mind blowing.
Yeah, there's definitely a stigma associated with AI in general, but it's kind of just meant to be a tool to just make your life a little bit easier, not take over, per se, but like, kind of help you navigate the waters a little more cleanly without, hitting the waves too hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think once I accepted that, or should I say realized that, I was able to fully embrace it as I do now. And now, I mean, you can't get me to stop talking about it.
Were you using Jotform forms for the onboarding process before that?
Yeah, we were still using the forms for onboarding. We just hadn't incorporated the AI agents.
Okay.
So, like I said, I've been using Jotforms since around 2018 or so. I think it was 2018, 2017, 2018, something like that, that I've been using Jotforms. We went from a paper application to using Jotforms completely for our applications. And if you know anything about Upward Bound, our application is very lengthy. I mean, it's quite lengthy. It's got a lot of moving parts to it. And so that made it a lot easier. Well, we decided to kind of divide it, if you will, to make the application a little bit less cumbersome for the student. So when we're in the classroom, the student can do what he or she knows and fill out that portion. And the rest of it we called onboarding. Mm-hmm. Okay, because now I need mom or dad anyway. So the student submitted interest, and then mom and dad does the onboarding. If you send an application home, and I'm sure you already know this, with a 14-year-old, it ain't coming back. It's not coming back. It's not going to happen. And then mom or dad looks at that application. It's 8 pages long. It's like, I'll never do this, But when you do it with a person, which is what we decided to do, it made the application process a heck of a lot easier. So that was our use. And then once, my right hand went down, wow, I had to figure it out. And so that's when we used the AI agent to do it.
Can you kind of walk us through like what that form looks like the actual onboarding form prior to you incorporating it into presentation agents. I'm just interested in what all is going on the form in general, like conditional logic, signatures.
So, okay, good question. So it's got a lot of parts. So imagine we took like an 8-page document and uploaded it. And so we made the form that way. Mm-hmm. And then the form has everything that you could imagine necessary. So from student demographics to parent demographics, we service first-gen low income. So there's certain things we have to know for grant purposes. Are you low income? So there's an income chart there. Are you first generation? Do your parents have a degree? So we've got those types of questions. We got citizenship questions. We've got health questions. We've health questions because we take kids on field trips. So if you got any food allergies, because we feed them, we've got all of these different questions that are on there. Of course, what are your current dreams and goals? We have an essay page where they have to write a 100-word essay. Just to name a few things. It's quite extensive, and all of that is in Jotform. So we just use form logic to have certain parts available to the student and other parts not, so that it could be, handled a little bit easier for them. And then rather than what we were working around and what we're trying to deal with, if anybody's familiar with Jotform, they'll know that you could either submit the form or you could save for later. Mm-hmm. And so what we would do is the save for later. This is what we kind of did for the part that the student knows all of his personal demographic. For example, you may or may not know if mom or dad has a degree. You may not know. You probably definitely don't know mom's income, right? Or dad's income. So those are questions that they would end up leaving blank anyway. So we would just have them fill out the portions that they know, grade level, what school you go to, your age, birth date, things like that. Personal demographic, they probably know mom or dad's email and phone number. So we would have that address and then save for later. So at that point, I would say, okay, now when you hit save for later, don't hit submit, don't send it. Let me show you what I want you to do. And I'm walking around the classroom. Mm-hmm. And we would have them to send a link to me and then a link to mom and dad, and then text mom or dad or call them so that they know to fill out the rest. And half the time it didn't get back, right?
Gotcha.
So that's why we had to do the onboarding, where we had a person to jump in and say, and let us walk you through the rest of this form. Not because the form itself is difficult to complete, but because I think that because it's so much, it could just seem a little overwhelming. And parents are like, I don't want to do it. And if you got somebody to kind of hold your hand, then it just makes it a little bit more palatable.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just curious, personally, if are you using Jotform to submit that information for the grants? We use the data once the student is in the program. We use the data that comes after that. So the demographic data absolutely is used for the grant, low income, first gen, that kind of stuff. We even ask ethnicity, but that's not required anymore. Gender, those types of things are used for our grant, and so you'll know, or the Department of Education will know, who we're serving and what percentage of, what goes where in terms of funding. Yeah. And then from there, the information that goes into there is like what school they go to, how the school is being serviced, why the grant is important to service this particular school, the demographics of the school. It's a lot that goes into the grant, but absolutely the information that we gather on our Jotform is used to, service our grant, to inform the grant. Yeah, that's always so cool to hear, when a nonprofit is using Jotform to kind of help with that process. I feel like a lot of nonprofits are not aware that they can get that grant money, and that Jotform kind of helps streamline some of that process, which always makes me happy, when I can hear that Jotform's doing some good out in the world.
Absolutely. We use a platform called Bloomin'.
Okay.
BLUMEN for most TRIO programs. And Bloomin' has what they call a bot form, which is based on Jotform.
Really?
And yes, and so that is the application that our students complete, and that goes into Bloomin'.
Okay.
So it directly affects the grant. It directly affects the data that we use to make sure that we get all of our prior experience points and all that kind of stuff for our grant.
Right on. Yeah, that's really cool to hear. Yeah, let me know if any of that, if there's anything sensitive we shouldn't talk about in there. But I just love, hearing that, Jotform is helping in some way, because you get in this quagmire of like it's big tech, and you're hearing about people, enterprise level people making tons and tons of money, but it's also like I love that it's helping the smaller companies and nonprofits and people who are actually doing some really good work out in the world. So yeah, it's always great to hear. Always makes me feel better about what we're doing over here.
You should feel very proud about the work that you guys do. I know that you are a for-profit company, but I'm always amazed. We have Jotform Enterprise now. Mm-hmm. And before that, I think we had the bronze level. When I was doing all of this, I think we had the bronze level. And I was always amazed by the amount of stuff that Jotform gave you at no extra charge. I mean, AI agents came along and the price didn't go up. It was like, they're doing this for free. You got to be kidding me. And so, yeah, you may be a for-profit yourselves, but you guys also do a lot to help the little guy. Because if it weren't for that, I'm not so sure we would have been able to scale.
Yeah, for sure. And that nonprofit discount has always been something that's been in place at Jotform since I first started, which is always a very cool initiative that I mean, as far as I know, from the very beginning, our CEO implemented that. So it's been around for a long, long time, which is always makes me feel a little prouder. Yeah. I guess let's jump back over to the nitty gritty. But when your two right-hand women went down, how did you first implement presentation agents with your current form?
So, yeah, I like that. Two right hands.
The double right hand, yeah.
The double right hand. So it was absolutely the presentation agents that we used. And what we did was I got, I guess, a little creative because the Jotform was already in existence. Mm-hmm. And you guys have made like leap and bound upgrades since I did this. But at the time, what I did was I said, you know what, let me create a presentation. Well, actually, for the classroom presentation, that presentation was already created. So I just took that presentation and trained the agent. And then I used I'm trying to remember it now, but basically a widget to embed the presentation agent in the application, in the Jotform for the application. Okay. So that when you open the application, the first thing you see is the presentation agent. Okay. And the presentation. So since my second right hand could not go into the classroom, what I was able to do was say to the principal, I went to the school myself and I talked to the principal, and she let me speak to one of the counselors. And all I did was send the application one link to the counselor. The counselor was able to distribute that same one link to teachers. Mm-hmm. And they literally could play the presentation agent in the classroom as though it were like a YouTube or something. Mm-hmm. And kids could hear about Upward Bound. And I created like I don't want to use the word meme, but it was like a little. It was like my my advisor who normally goes out. It kind of looked like her. I'm not even use a like person, so I used one of her pictures to make it kind of look like her. Uh-huh. Yeah, and she loved it. She fell in love with it, and the kids were able to hear it. And then after that, and these were rising ninth graders, and after that, they were able to complete the application. And because it was so simple, they didn't have to do anything else. She could, one page, she could, at that point, she gets the notification that it's submitted, and she can just call parents and say, hey, you have a notification in your inbox from us to do some onboarding. Your student's interested in our program. And guess what? When mom or dad opens up the onboarding now, which is really the rest of the application, we just call it onboarding and this makes it sound a little bit better. Mm-hmm. They get a separate presentation that says, we recognize that you weren't in the classroom. Again, it's right at the top of the onboarding form. We know you weren't in the classroom, so let us tell you a little bit about Upward Bound. This is exactly the same protocol that she would have do if she were to call them. My other right hand. And so my other right hand normally does the onboarding. And if she were to call them, she would say, let me tell you who Upward Bound is. I know you don't know anything about us, blah, 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 blah. And explains each of the forms. This is done in probably 10 minutes. And we knew that it worked when the first 2 submissions that we got were from parents who didn't speak English as a first language.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I called her. I was like, hey, her name is Miss Jabbar. So I called her. I said, hey, this works. This works. I know it works. Because these 2 people, I'm telling you, I know them. And the parents don't speak English as a first language. It's not that they couldn't read, of course. They probably can read it. But they don't speak English as a first language. And this works. So I knew from that moment that was going to be a success, because if that person was able to follow it with English being a second language, that meant that it was simple enough for everybody else. And I'll tell you what, we had a staff meeting here this past Friday. I'm technically on vacation this week, and we received probably 3 or 4 more onboarding applications. And myself and the host, we're all on vacation right now. So we don't start back for another couple of weeks. So, we've got 3 or 4 more onboarding applications and none of us are recruiting. No one's out there saying anything to anyone. It's just kind of happening on its own. And I mean, that's something that I can't tell you how valuable that is. I just can't put it into words how valuable that is. People are doing onboarding at odd times of the day that none of us are available anyway. So they're able to do it, which is another key point. Like my right hand, Ms. Jabbar, if she were going to do an onboarding, she might find herself doing one at 7 p.m. or 8:30. Or we have parents that say that. Well, my mom's not available, so she gets off work at 8:30. Or if they work the overnight shift, they're available first thing in the morning at 7. But we don't start work till 8:30 in the morning. And it just solved so many problems. Do you know what I mean? Like that, it's just huge. It's just huge.
Those nonprofit hours, nonprofit vacations, the nonprofit
Literally
vacation.
Nonprofit.
But it's amazing. I feel like that's kind of the key benefit of AI in general, is being able to do more with less, being able to not be stretched so thin. So that's amazing to hear that it's kind of alleviated some of those late nights and some of that, vacation work.
Yep. You're able to actually, other than this, I haven't really done anything work related, and it's really nice. Because normally you're like, everything's so time sensitive. I'm telling you, it's just, it's huge. It really is it really is huge. It just is. I can't put that into words. That was a major, major, major part of, let me say it this way. Upward Bound is only responsible for 72. Our Upward Bound program is only responsible for recruiting 72. We're funded to serve 72 students. Some a few more, some a few less, but ours is 72. But the paperwork is a huge hindrance for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Because it's so much. And to be able to just literally walk them through it like that. And it's done. And I can't explain it. It's just, it has truly revolutionized recruiting for us. It just makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
And now, both of them are free to do other things that they would have otherwise. I mean, don't get me, if you got a tech problem or a question, yeah, but most of the questions are answered in the presentation. And so they can do it. We've had a couple of glitches like, oh, my school isn't in the list. Okay, so let me add your school. And then they can add their school and things like that. But it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing to hear, it's like, being able to use the tool to free up time to actually be more hands-on with the students. I feel like AI kind of gets that little bit of a stigma of like, well, it's removing the human element. But in your case, it's making it to where you can spend more time with the students one-on-one, hands-on, actually like, helping them out and actually enjoying time with them and not having to sit there and do paperwork together the whole time. That's
right. It really frees up the time. I've got other ideas on how we can use it in the classroom. One idea we implemented is we trained an AI agent. We called him Mr. Wright, WRITE, to help students learn to write. And we just did this over the summer. And if you were to tell it, if you told Mr. Wright, write a paragraph for me, he would respond and say, I can't do that, but I can help you. Mm-hmm. So we're using him to teach students how to use AI responsibly, something that like I told you a moment ago, that I had to overcome, right? So using it for brainstorming, using for spell check, using for grammar check, using for sentence structure, using to make sure you're following a logical flow, that your topic sentence is being supported with evidence, and for things like that, but not to actually write the paragraph. So we're doing that. And, and the language that I use with the kids over the summer is, I know you guys want to go to ChatGPT because you think it's better, but trust me, these are based on ChatGPT. Yeah. So we can do this, and you guys will feel better about it. And and they loved it. They were really engaged. It made writing, something that was fun for them again. Mm-hmm. I wish I had data for it. I don't yet, because I just kind of threw it out there just to play with it one day. But I saw them, really engaged with it. So hopefully I can gather data for that one over the fall, and we can see the difference that is made. Because one of the areas that we get evaluated in is, as far as the impact of our program, one of our objectives is that students have to be proficient in ELA and math. It's not one or the other. The grant calls for the government calls for both ELA and math. And so I want to make sure that they're writing proficient and math proficient. And so we're going to, play around with it. It's one of the ideas that I have for the summer. I mean, for the fall here, that we're kind of toying with right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's the reality that students are growing up in now, is like, AI is here to stay. It's not going away. So like being able to teach them how to utilize AI in a way that is going to help their career is, I feel like that's a really cool way of using AI agents and using the presentation agents in general. That's really cool. Hopefully we can talk to you more about that down the line too. Yeah.
Yes, amen.
We can do another write-up for that. Yeah. This is kind of more on the tech side of things, but did you face any kind of like technical or adoption challenges in getting your agents working to a point where it would make it easy for students and parents?
None of my parents, not one, reported, and I'm going to say out of 12 or 13, no one reported a tech issue, really? Except, like I mentioned a moment ago, they couldn't find their school in the list of schools in the drop down. So I just had to add the school to the drop down. Mm-hmm. But no one reported a tech issue. On my end, there was just the learning curve. So like once I learned it, figured out how to use it, which was not hard at all, much, much simpler than I thought it was going to be, because I thought that I had to be a brain, but I don't. And so no, I didn't have any tech issues, just the learning curve.
Yeah.
And that's it.
When you were like training it, what specifically were you using on the training aside from the form that previously existed?
So to train it, I got several agents now. So I'm one of the reasons I wanted enterprise is because I can just have just a gigantic amount of agents, right? So, but on the student parent side, I trained it with our website. So we have several universities in our consortium. So if parents asked a question about universities in the consortium, even cost of attendance and things like that, I kind of trained it to know those things. And I used everything from the website link to uploading documents. I think I got a API from College Scorecard. I use that to kind of train just on our universities. I use mostly that kind of information for the onboarding because it was all about who we are. So our website and then the colleges. Mm-hmm. But I also trained it to know contacts for us, like who do you reach if you need help with certain things. So I trained it for that. I trained it to know what our Saturday Academy, we have Saturday Academy, we meet 2 Saturdays a month, to know those dates. Obviously, that's something we have to update every year. But I trained it with that information. Mostly the way I did it was websites and documents and the one API. Websites, documents, and the API.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of information that it has right at its fingertips that, would take, a person potentially years to learn all of that information or, would have to sit there and go look it up. Whereas, it could just pull it immediately. That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
One other thing that I found useful too was when you train the personality is that you can name it, of course, but then also telling the AI agent who the audience is. Your audience is a high school student, 9th to 12th grade. So use language that is appropriate for 9th to 12th grade, making it accessible, even though a parent may jump in too. But I geared it toward the student so that, anything can be understood by the student. And now with the presentation agent, you can literally type in what you want to say. And that has also been helpful to keep the language, simple. Mm-hmm. So I'll type something up and then I'll go to my agent over here that I created for me, my own personal assistant, and say, put this in language that a 9th grader would understand. Uh-huh. And she'll re-say it in a language that a 9th grader would understand, and I pasted that into the presentation agent. So it's really helpful. I'm telling you, I use it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty telling that you were really apprehensive towards AI, and then now you've got tons of AI going.
Oh, yes. I was totally apprehensive. I was like, nope, you could just ask people who know. It was like, nope. Because I just saw it as like, I'm not going to do it. And there are certain things, like best practices, like you may not want to put personal information online or something like that. I still stay away from that type of thing. But other than that, I'm all in now. You can't turn me back, I don't think.
That's good to hear. Yeah. I feel like I had a similar journey where I was like, I don't want to do this. This is, it was the old man in me. It was like, nah, I ain't going to do that. And then once I started using it, I was like, oh my God, this opens up so many avenues of things that would save me so much time of like the stuff that's just kind of a time waster. I could get to the meat of things, mm-hmm. Like, for instance, when I was preparing for our talk today, I had ChatGPT kind of write out the questions based on the case study. And then of course I went in and tweaked things, but being able to kind of have a head start of like, oh, this is stuff that I'm going to arrive at anyway, you know, and just having that skeleton to kind of build the bone, you know, the meat on over the top of it. Yeah. Super
and
helpful.
When you sent me that email, Gmail agent replied to you, and I went
Oh man, now I feel weird about it.
and then hit send, because I'm telling you, it's a time saver, right?
Yeah, totally.
Just tweaked it and hit send, and it was
couple
amazing.
robots talking back and forth, but we're behind the scenes. We're like the Wizard and the Wizard of Oz, you know.
Yeah. My wife thinks I'm a geek anyway, so I guess
yeah, a geek who knows what they're doing now. Yeah. Kind of going back to like when your two right hands went down, what was the outcome of putting those presentations together, like during that critical period when your two best people were down? Can you kind of go through like what was the result of that?
Yeah. So so their names, Miss Jabbar, Miss Hill. Miss Hill is my recruiter. Miss Jabbar is my everything else you can think of, right? I mean, she does like everything for me. And when they went down, and we finally found the solution with the presentation agent, we still needed to recruit like 10 or so kids, 12. I always save, like I said, we have to have 72. So I usually save recruiting that last 10 for the summer because we want to get rising ninth graders for our summer. And so we still had like 12 kids to recruit. And that presentation agent being able to go inside the classroom, we got all 10 of our kids. Now, I have to be honest, they didn't all come from that classroom. But what happened was the link was shared. And so they came from other places. Didn't expect that either, right? And now I look back the other day, you guys have even updated something to share this presentation. That wasn't there when I did it. So that makes it even easier. So the link was shared, though, with other teachers and other, in other schools. And kids are coming from like all over. We got a couple of kids from schools that, we didn't even recruit at. Wow. I didn't even go to the school. Are you listening to me? I didn't even go to those schools. And the kids were like, they came in from those schools. And so it was really nice.
That's amazing. Like
it really is. So we met our number. As I mentioned a moment ago, we're getting new people. So I would even say we've exceeded the number now. And we have to, they're applying now though. So they'll go in on this current APR. But yeah, that the outcome was we absolutely met the number. And all of them were onboarded. I think we had a couple that we had to call back out to and say, hey, you didn't do your onboarding. But other than a reminder call, we didn't have to do the onboarding with them. It was more like a call to nudge them and say, hey, mom, you still haven't done this. Yeah. And it got done. And it was it was nice. It was nice. So we got all of our students in. The beautiful thing also is both those ladies were able to handle and nurture what they needed to nurture at home without feeling any threat of pressure once they get back to the job and say, hey, we still need to do this. It was done. It was done. And, like I told you, Ms. Jabbar, she was like, I can't believe you said those things. I was like, wait a minute, but read the rest of it, because she didn't like how it made her feel like, you make it feel like I couldn't do my job. I was like, no, it's not that. It's just that, with you being out, we needed that to happen. You're not replaced. And so, full circle, we had a meeting, like I told you last week. And I said, so what do you think about that? Look at this. These things are coming. We were literally in a meeting and we were getting, onboarding. And I was like, what do you think about that? You didn't have to do it. She said, I love it. So she doesn't feel that way anymore. So the outcome was that not only did we meet our numbers, you also have two people who feel, I think, supported and valued, because this is not, like you said, this is not about replacing an individual. It's about enhancing and allowing the AI agent to handle tasks that we could do but we're better needed somewhere else. And if the agent can handle those things, then we can go do things that really involve a human, where a human needs to be. And yeah, so I think the outcome, it was totally positive. I can't think of a single downside to it, unless you want to count the learning curve, but there was no downside to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a really important lesson, is like, the people are irreplaceable, but it's just making it to where they're not bogged down in that quagmire of having to sit there and do paperwork all day long. Now they can really focus on the things that really matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What kind of feedback have you gotten from, students, parents, teachers, et cetera?
So from the two of them, obviously the feedback was very good. My employer is my boss. She loves it. I haven't even talked to you about her. She was like, this is great. I like that you're able to do this. Parent feedback is mostly that it was easy to use. Haven't had the district, when we shared the link with them, the teacher in the classroom didn't have to do any presentation. So it was easy for her to use, right? And apparently, because she shared it, which I didn't expect, I didn't ask that question. So I don't want to make that part up, but she did share it apparently with other people. So my conclusion is going to be that she thought that it was easy to use and easy to follow because she shared the link. And so I have to get back to her and say, hey, what did you think about? What made you share it? And get, more real data. But the all around feedback is ease of use. Yeah. Simple and ease of use. Right.
Yeah. You have it set up to where you have it in different languages. Like, if somebody has English as a second language.
Nope.
No.
It was totally in English. And now, obviously that's possible because the agents do speak other languages. So I will be, we're still moving things over from the bronze to the enterprise. So we still got a couple of people out there that need to complete their onboarding. So once all that's done, one of your agents told me that we have to wait until all that's complete because otherwise the assets won't come over. Okay. So we'll finish that. And when we do, then I will be putting it into our primary languages are English, Spanish, and Arabic. So we'll put them into those three. Okay. And I think it'll be amazing.
Yeah. Kind of opens up some new avenues.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like we just started, like just kind of scratched the surface, and now sky's the limit. One thing I was looking at in the case study is it said that you were able to cut a couple of programs.
Yes.
Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Without naming them, we cut two programs. So one program, this gets into uses of the AI agents beyond just onboarding. Both of the programs were educational in nature, and we were using them to do assessments. One we were using to do assessments, and for ACT prep and stuff like that. The other one we were using for like financial literacy, and teaching robotics and something else. Okay. But with AI agents, particularly with the assessments, we were able to create our own assessments. I haven't produced them yet. We're still toying with it. But I've got on my team a guy that's really good at math. We got several math teachers, so I want to make sure that the math is right. And I want to make sure that the ELA is right before we put it out. But we know that it's absolutely doable, that the agents can quiz. So, for example, we were using Mr. Wright who I mentioned to you earlier, the AI agent, Mr. Wright, that in the course of a conversation with a student, he'll just throw out a quiz-like question to the student. And that was our way of kind of testing it, to play with it, to kind of pilot it, if you will, and see, how the student would answer. He would ask a question like, where should a comma go in this sentence? Or things like that. And so we're kind of playing with it. But based on that, we're able to eliminate those other two programs. And they cost me $3,700 for one. And it was like a total of $8,000 or $9,000, let's say it that way, to eliminate the two.
Wow.
That freed up the money for us to, rather than renew those, we were able to purchase Enterprise. And so that was huge. That was huge. The agents also can be used. We use a learning platform called Canvas, which a lot of colleges use. And the agents can also be, because you can use iframe, you can literally put that in Canvas, and the agent is literally in Canvas. And the agents can be used there to answer questions, to help kids move along through modules that they're learning, help them to stay on point and keep track of college readiness, things that they're supposed to do. So we were able to eliminate those other two programs because they were doing that for us. Now AI agents can do it.
Wow. That's kind of incredible.
Yeah. I'm telling you, guys have no idea. I don't even know if you guys know what you did. It truly is amazing. I just never would have. There, sometimes blessings come in disguise, right? And had they not gotten, one gotten sick and one needed to take care of a family member, I don't think that I would not have gone out to discover that on my own. It was through the fact that they were not available, that we were able to discover it. I've got a lady on my staff who literally went in and created a teacher assistant in Enterprise for each one of our teachers now, so that they can all work with a teacher assistant, and it'll be able to, rather than, I told you about Blooming. Okay. So rather than moving from one system to the next to log into Blooming to find out the name of a student, or if you want to call mom, you don't have to go into Blooming and log it up, look it up. Literally, the agent knows every student's name, all of their demographics. So all I got to do is ask your agent, hey, how do you call Patrick Thornsberry? What's his number? What's his dad's number? And he'll give it to you. What's his GPA? And whatever information you need, he'll give it to you. What's the list of students that need tutoring? Because we all have all of their progress reports and report cards in there, and the agent will spit it out. And so that's where it's the teacher assistant side of that. That's why I want an Enterprise, and then I can get an unlimited amount of agents, and all of the teachers can use their own agent as a teacher assistant to help them with their design in their classroom, their lesson plans, and all of that. It's amazing. Actually, I'm telling you, this is next level stuff.
It's funny that you mentioned that, like, we don't even know really what we did.
Yeah.
Because every person that I've talked to so far about AI agents is using it in a way that I never would have thought of. Like your use is completely, like, I never would have thought of that. And like you now, using it as a teaching assistant that's amazing. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to hear, and like it seems like you're
half.
Yeah.
Where this is, I haven't even. I mean, because I don't want to take 2 hours with you, but that's just one idea. Like one way we're using it. We got rid of those other two. Each teacher has a teacher assistant, and that's just a little small piece, because, like you said at the beginning of our conversation, the possibilities are virtually endless.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it's virtually endless.
Yeah. I guess kind of piggybacking on that, you were pretty hesitant of using AI at the beginning. What advice would you give to nonprofits specifically who are in kind of a similar situation, who might be hesitant to use AI?
I would say your hesitation when it comes to putting personal identifiable information into your AI may be well-founded. But when it comes to using your AI to assist you with other tasks, something as simple as creating a flyer, you don't have to do that yourself. Do I really need to create the flyer if I can say, create me a flyer with this data and include an image that does this? You don't have to pay anybody for that. We used to pay desktop publishers for that. Then you send it off to the printer, and the printer people come back and it's all wrong. And you just save hours and hours of time when you can just do it that way. Even if it's not you got somebody in your office who's doing that. So I would say that, maybe putting personal information in there is well founded as a hesitant posture. But when it comes to other tasks, absolutely. I would say absolutely you can do it. And one of the beautiful things, I feel like I'm selling Jotform Enterprise, but one of the beautiful things that I like about Jotform Enterprise is that you have your own server. So even when it comes to, privacy, with that being your own server, you're still a little bit more protected than putting it out there on, say Copilot or ChatGPT or Claude or something like that, where you don't have your own server. So, but again, that would be what I would say. Try it. Don't be like me and you deny yourself all of these wonderful ways that you can use it, when really there are countless ways you can use it responsibly and literally make life a lot easier.
Yeah. I think that's a great sentiment to end on. Though I would like to, can you tell us more about, how people can get involved and connect with Upward Bound, and if they wanted to help out or if they want to be involved in the program?
Yes, Upward Bound. Our website is hecstl.org/UB is how you can find Upward Bound. But we have 3 TRIO programs there, including mine. At that website, you can read all about HEC. You can see what we do as a program, as well as our other 2 programs and what they do, as well as apply. You can also apply if you feel like you're a best fit for Upward Bound and you're in the St. Louis area, and specifically if you go to St. Louis Public Schools, then you can fill out the application there. And then if you are an adult, 19 or older, and you're looking to go back to college or trying to shift gears in your career, then EOC is our program there as well, and Talent Search. Talent Search is the other program that's very similar to mine, but we're Saturday intensive. We have Saturday classes. If Saturday classes is not for you, try Talent Search, because they can also help you. So all 3 of our programs are there, and that's where you find us, hecstl.org.
Right on. I can't thank you enough for coming on, and hopefully, some other nonprofits, especially people who are in education and helping people get back to college, helping kids, remove that stigma of coming to college, and all of that can learn from this conversation. And I can't thank you enough for coming on, and it's been an absolute pleasure, Kevin.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you for having me.